What's going on, guys? Bradley Martyn here. Look, we decided to change it up a little bit today with the scenery. We got a tree, beautiful tree in the background. It's really because the shade is actually nice over here. Now, what I wanted to talk to you guys today about was two things. One main thing, but I want to speak about these two things in this one very important main thing because I get a lot of questions on Instagram. I get a lot of questions on my DMs, Snapchat, messages. I see shit on Twitter. And people always ask me, yo, Brad, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay consistent? How do you get towards these goals? Like, you know, I'm 19 or I'm 18 and I want to do this thing, or I'm this age and I'm whatever. I want to do what you're doing, or I want to do what some other guy's doing. And people have a very hard time, it seems like, because I'm getting asked this question a lot, how do I stay consistent? How do I get from A to B, right? So I want to talk about two things that I think are super, super important that I can personally relate to in my life and share with you guys. So the two things are this. The two most important things in reaching any goal in your life are the ability to be present, but also the ability to plan and to like structure the goal where you want to go, right? Me and Kev were in a car the other day. We're also with Trent. We were talking about when I was 16, this is just from my perspective. Kev got a different perspective, but when I was 16, I remember reading some books. I remember reading self-help books and business books and about goal setting and about how to practice getting like almost the power of intention and how to bring like that big gigantic picture where, let's say you're like 16 years old like I was at the time in this story, and I'm like, man, I want to have a future in fitness. I always knew I loved it. I always knew I was like, man, I really enjoy doing this. And I was like, how would I build a business in it, and then how would I succeed in it? And then I also thought like just straight material wise, like what kind of car would I have, and what kind of house would I live in, and where would I be in 10 years, or where would I be in 5 years, right? So this is big picture stuff, and a lot of you guys can relate to this because you're probably at a point in your life where maybe you want more, maybe you have some of those things, but maybe you want like a prettier picture, whatever it is, right? So picture me 16 years old. When I first started like getting into the gym, I was like, man, I love this. I want to try and make this a big part of my life. And I remember telling my mom, yo, I'm gonna do this for real. I'm gonna do this for real. My mom was like, oh yeah, okay, like we went through that phase. Me and your dad had went through that phase, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this for real. And I was always very I always had a lot of self-belief where I was like, I'm gonna do this. So I read a few books and I read some self-help stuff, and I was like, man, okay, how do I set these goals? And I learned about something really important, which was intention. And that's where I'm gonna come back to those two things, right? So setting my intention on what I wanted. For example, this wasn't when I was 16, but this is when I was like, first moved down to LA, and I was 21, and I had a Ford Ranger, step side, flare side, white Ford Ranger. At one point I had crashed it and like fucked the whole front end up and had to get like the rotator arm fixed because it snapped, because I must have been on my phone and crashed into a car, and I drove like that for like 2 years. But I would sit in this car, and I remember reading, and I remember thinking about what did I want, right? At this time I was like, okay, this is a material goal. I wanted a nice car. And what I would do is I would sit in my car, and this is gonna sound crazy to a lot of you guys, but I would sit in my car and I would think about what it would feel like, what it would smell like, how I would feel, what it would sound like if I was in the car, like down to like what would people think of me. Not that it really mattered, but what would they think if they saw me pull up in the car that was in my head, that was in my dream, right? So I would sit there, and you know, I'd maybe have the music on, I'd sit there and I'd be like, what would the music sound like? Would it have better bass? All these little things that seem kind of like, you guys might hear this right now and be like, that sounds stupid. But what I was doing was I was trying to show myself like that it could be real, even though at the moment, in that moment, it was not real. It was where I wanted to go, right? So this is what I'm talking about: plan setting, big dream, big picture. Like, you have to give yourself something that feels attainable, and it has to kind of feel real, even if you don't have it, right? So Kev's example was, he was sharing that he knew someone who, he had a car, because Kev's really into cars. He had a car that he knew he wanted, like the exact same fucking car, and he ended up meeting this person, and he had the ability to like sit in the car and even drive the car, right? Yeah. So even drive the car, so he knew what it was gonna feel like, he knew what it was gonna sound like, he knew like everything he could think of what it would be like to be in that car, because he was in that car, right? But my point is, you may not have that friend, or you may not have that, maybe the house or the place you can just go in and look at or be in, but you need to create like what it's gonna feel like. It's almost like it creates an internal motivation inside you that's like, man, this is real, because I'm feeling, even though it's not yours.
Also being specific with it too.
Exactly.
Like you said, like the smell, the this, the that.
The
like,
little things.
Yeah.
The real little things. And you guys might really, I swear to God, you guys really might be like, that's stupid, but I promise you, try this. Try this. Because this is about the big picture. Like, it's hard sometimes to know, like, and even along the way, you may not know exactly which way to go, but if you're setting up like, okay, for example, like, let's say in a relationship or in what, it's like, if you can try and be like, what would it be like? How would I feel? What would the rest of my life be like if I had this, if my relationship was like this, right? Because if you don't have a clear picture of like what it could be, then you kind of end up wandering. Even if you don't like necessarily like have the greatest example, because like a lot of people, humans are really like, they see something and then they like, they almost like, oh, that's my peak, right? That's my limit. Like, for example, if you grow up in a like a childhood, or like you see relationships, all the relationships in your life that aren't yours, that are someone else's, and you're like, that's normal, then that starts to become like, that's normal. Just like kids get older and they're used to a certain childhood, and then like their relationships now start to feel not necessarily exactly like their childhood, but like the things from their childhood will come to their like adult relationships that they never worked out, and it will kind of like be somewhere in there. And like their relationship with, like, you know, if they're a man with a woman, and maybe the way they saw their mom with their dad, or their mom with their stepdad, or whatever, right? So humans, like, they get this, they see it and they're like, that's normal, and you see it so much that it becomes like, that's how I'm going to be. So that's the thing that I'm trying to get you guys to realize, like, that, number one, is not how it has to be. It's whatever you put in your head that is normal. And that's the whole idea of like creating intention of like, why, like, so if you guys like, that sounds like batshit weird shit, the point, I'm giving you like a real application of like, how many people do you know in your life who were in a certain relationship or had a certain childhood that like now that is affecting the rest of their life? My fucking whole life is like built on shit like that. Like, I grew up without a father. My father took his life when I was 6. Like, my whole childhood, and the thing that pushed me so far in the weight room was because of like an aggression or an anger or an upset or a sadness that I had about myself and my childhood and the way I felt about myself. And fuck. So, see, it still affects me to this day. I'm fucking 30 years old. My point is, like, all these things that we experience in our life, it makes us who we are, and that's undeniable. So if you can create a picture in your mind, a picture in your brain of like where you want to go and where you want to be, despite everything else, now you have a clear picture about where you want to be, and you can get there, and it's going to start to feel like I can be there, and it doesn't feel like it's some far away shit. But when you first start doing it, it's still going to feel very far away, but the more you do it, the more it starts to feel real, and you'll start to notice that things will come into your life that will push you closer to that, because in your brain you've set up an intention of where you want to go, and that's why it's so important. Like, think about the most simple thing of like, I want to go from A to B, right? I got to go to the grocery store and buy food before my trip to Vegas, the Olympia. I'm going to be at the Olympia, and then Thailand. I got to do all these things, right? And it's very simple. If I go, okay, I need to get this food by this time, I'm going to show up there, I'm going to buy this stuff, and I'm somewhat planning that before I get there. You're like, duh, that's what life is. That's my point. Like, this is just, now we're looking at the big picture, right? The big picture, the big goals, the 10 years, the 5 years, the rest of your life. You have to treat it the same way now. Not every single day, but if you don't take time, like maybe once a month, maybe twice a week, maybe 3 times, I don't know what it is. If you haven't done it enough, you should do it more, where you sit and you're like, okay, where do I want to be? What do I want to have? What do I want my life to feel like? You were the one who got me thinking about this again, which is why I wanted to do this video.
Yeah.
And the thing is, guys, it's ever changing. Like, it's never going to be like, oh, this is it and I'm here. So my point is, like, whether you're 16 or whether you're 40 or 30 and you want something different in your life, you have to start thinking about it. You have to start believing in it. You have to start knowing, like, this can be real. What can I do to make it feel more real or more attainable for me in my life, right?
I think it's good it's fine that it's changing too, because like your goals can change and your dreams can change. Just from like last year talking to you and now, like your vision it's very similar, but it's a little different, you know? Way
different. And that's why I'm saying, like, it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter if you're young, if you're middle, if you're old. It's like, your life is always going to change. I'm just talking to you guys in a way of like, yo, just recognize it, where you're at, how you feel, and what you want, and start to like implement those thoughts in your own brain. Like, okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I want it to feel like. This is what, and then you'll start to get closer there. So the second aspect of this, besides the big picture, is the being present, right? Because a lot of people, sometimes this is the problem, they'll paint this picture and be like, fuck, that's so far away. It's so far away. How do I get there. And it just feels, it will start to feel unattainable. The most important thing and the key in like mending this or making this not feel as bad is understanding that no matter what big picture you have to be able to live right now in the moment to get there. Right? And yeah, you have to keep thinking about it and you have to have it in the back of your mind, your subconscious, but at the same time, if you're not able to be like conscious and present enough to know what's making you happy in the moment right now, what like decisions you like, I'm talking about simple shit of like fucking smiling at people walking by, saying hi to people, like little basic things like to get you closer to that goal. Because the truth is, like, no matter what your goal is, you can't do it without humans, you can't do it without other people, right? Unless it's like some, I don't know, what goals would not be that? None.
I don't think any.
At some point.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
So, like you little basic things, right? Like, just to give you a really good example, because that one might have been a little bit like not understandable, but me being here right now, training, right? After this video, I'm gonna go train, right? This is a great fucking example that I could personally tell you. For like a lot of the years on YouTube, I would say the last 3 years, somewhere in the two of those 3 years, it was just about making content, and my workouts started to suck, right? So when I would come to the gym, I was like, okay, I need to make content because I need to do these things, I need to do this and tell people about BMFIT gear, I can do this shit because I gotta, you know, I pay for all this stuff, and you guys are supporting me doing that, and I'm making content and I'm making dope shit, and I'm trying to get you guys to be a part of it, right? So in my head, I'm like, okay, I gotta go do these things for that. But the thing that's interesting is like how I started all this was never, that wasn't even a thing, it wasn't even existing. I did it because of my childhood, because of the way that I felt, and I was really good at it because when I did it, I felt good. And I focused on it, being able to be in the moment training was why I got good at this training shit and building a physique and knowing how to do X, Y, Z or whatever, right? So it was because I loved it and I felt so good in the moment, right? For example, now I got into the gym and I started doing like certain things because I had to create content, I had to talk to you guys, I had to do these things, and not in a negative way at all, but it changed my dynamic and it changed my interest and it changed kind of like the way it came back and forth to me in my life. So it made it different, that it wasn't just about the training, it was about kind of like all these other things, and I lost a little bit of my own personal focus. And going back to being present, why I got so good at this was because when I did this, it was a fucking fire in my body that was like, I need to do this to feel good because of my past. And then the anger or the aggression that I had, I was like, I could focus it. I felt that I could put it here and leave it here, and then the rest of my life would feel better. So when I would go to the gym, that would be it, right? Now, when I started to get involved in like all the social media stuff, it became different because it became about sharing things, it became about giving to you guys, it became about like the community squad, this whole thing that we're doing, right? And in that sense, it started to be different for me. So I had to take a moment to be like, okay, present as present as I can, be like, okay, what about myself and what about why I was here in the beginning? So that's the biggest thing, guys. Understand, like, it's always gonna change, but you have to be able to recognize it and know like why you're doing it, what's the purpose of it, where are you trying to go, but also understand being present in the actions like that you're doing to get there. Because when you're more present, you're gonna be better at what you're doing. Just, I mean, think about it. How many of you can relate to this? You're driving. This is so simple. I guarantee everyone will be like, duh. Were we filming today?
Are you serious?
No?
No, you're not.
I'm dead not serious.
We're joking.
We're joking. Hold on, let me film this video. Well, I'm almost done. Come on. Okay, cool. Oh, we're not filming? Oh yeah, you got your boy. Never mind. Yeah. Fuck, dude. See, it's bad. So listen, here's the thing. When you're driving, right? How many of you, this is such a good way to fucking show this point. You're driving and you guys are, and you're texting, and say it's like a 30-minute drive. You're texting, you're kind of on social media and you're driving, you're
not
good.
supposed to be doing that.
You're not supposed to be doing that, by the way. But 20 minutes go by, half an hour goes by, you get there, and then you're like, fuck, that was weird. Like, I got here, but I was like, I don't really remember the streets. I don't really remember the roads, because you kind of like, you were kind of here and there at the same time. You see what I'm saying? You're here and there, you're here and there. And then you get there and you're like, fuck, that was kind of weird, because like, I don't exactly, not necessarily I don't know how I got here, but you don't remember everything,
yeah.
Right? And then you get there, right? So what happened is that, like me in the gym 2 years ago, I'm doing it, but I'm doing it because I'm kind of doing it, but I'm not really doing it. Like, my experience is not fully there, versus before it was only that, so I was fucking hyper focused on getting that done the right way while I was doing it. Because the truth is, everything in your life, you want to go A to B or A to Z, you have to go A, B, C, D, E. You have to fucking be in the moment. The more you are in the moment, the quicker you're gonna go through we'll just call it the alphabet right now. The quicker you're gonna be able to go through it, because you're like A, B, instead of being like A, I'm kind of like doing some other shit, C, and then like these, like almost these moments too in between, you're not getting the most out of it because you're not really experiencing it, and you're not getting the experience of it. You're not getting the effect of it. You're not getting maybe the lesson in it, the things that you're kind of going through along the way, until you kind of slow down and be like, I'm in the moment. But it seems counterintuitive because you're like, but I want to get way over there, so why do I got to speed up? And that was my biggest problem in my past. I was constantly like, go, 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 and then I was like, wait a minute. But how I got there in the beginning to have this awesome opportunity to be here with you guys wasn't by go, 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 go. It was like, this is how I feel about myself, and this was my creative outlet. This is my emotional outlet. This was the thing that made me feel good. So just remember, guys, in your life, just as much as you plan and believe and bring intention into your life about where you want to go and what you want in your life and what you believe is possible, you need to be able to be present with where you are now, no matter where it is, because it can get better and it will get better. I fucking love you guys. I appreciate all the support. I'm gonna be better at making more videos like this. I know a lot of you guys love them. I know a lot of you guys are like, man, just work out and be a fucking meathead guy, but that's not all I am, and that will never be all I am, and I'm grateful that I have more to talk to you guys about. And I love you guys. I appreciate all the support. Subscribe Monday, Wednesday, Friday. No edits on this video for sure.
0.
Damn, 0 edits. This was a fuck. I just hope you guys noticed that.
Even the Nadim came out. And
even
like,
the Nadim came out, and we go back to it. I hope you guys realize that. Like, this is straight from the heart. So we'll start doing some live videos like this. So you guys are literally like, see a live video where I could do this. I mean, this is essentially a live video because there is literally no edit in this video. So go subscribe, turn the post notifications on, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Sometimes we miss a day or two because like I'm traveling. Yeah, so I'm going to Thailand with Dan Bilzerian. I'm going to Vegas this week and then Thailand next week. We're doing more traveling. We're gonna go to Tulum. Kev's gonna come to Tulum. We're gonna film a bunch of content, fitness stuff, beach stuff, outdoor gym stuff. We're just trying to have more fun. Like 2020, this is the year, like we're going hard. And I want all you guys to go hard with me. Join the fucking Ride Squad all fucking day. I love you guys. I still can't tell them that secret.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
It's a fucking bomb. It's like a serious thing. It's a
wait,
really big thing.
You gotta wait for that.
It's one of the biggest things I've ever done because
they're not ready.
They're not ready yet. I'm not even ready. That's why I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I got to make sure I do it the right way because
with the right people.
With the right people, because that's the only way I do it. So I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. I'm out of here. Thank you. Wait, I'm not out of here. Like I'm here.
You're in here. That's in the gym.
But I'm out of.
Go inside.
Here.
You're out and in.
Now I'm in here.